Yeah. You're tuned in to the sound, turn the volume up now. Bringing you the real, no filter, just the facts. Dropping knowledge on these classic tracks. From the jump, yeah, we keep it on lock. Tick tock, listen to the clock. Let's get it.
Well, here we go. We back again. First of all, I want to welcome you back. And most of all, I want to welcome my one listener I have. Thank you for tuning in, my one listener. My one fan club. One person fan club, basically. So around here, we speak to the mind. Laugh a little, think a little, and challenge whatever has gotten too comfortable. Maybe you just got too comfortable. We say the things that make you stop and lean back and go, hold up for a minute, I didn't know that. Wow. We uncover the truth, hiding beneath the noise. Because some facts whisper, some facts shout, hey! Some of these facts would just kick the door off the hinges. Today I got my steel toes on. I'm gonna kick in the door a little bit. So if you hear like a door being caved in from my kick, that's what it is. It's from my kick. Some of the stuff is serious knowledge with a little bit of wit and a whole lot of attitude. My attitude ain't all that bad though, just a little bit. No, a lot of bit. Here we laugh a little, we think a little, but most of all, we consume less BS. You can't pull that BS on me. I don't feed you that BS. I'm not gonna give you none. So what are you feeding today, listening audience? My one listener? Are you feeding your spiritual, your mental, your physical energy? Shit, I got all that for you today. Yes, I do. But anyway, 250 years of hurrah, yay! Basically, it's freaking Happy Chaos Day, not Happy Birthday, America. It's like Happy Chaos Day, America. Basically, that's what that shit is. Anyway, hey, welcome to Conversation No Filter. All gas and no brakes. So, in breaking news, Pete Heston, the great war director of America, was on Capitol Hill in Washington before the senators, the Congress, lawmakers, whoever was there. He was there, begging. He was begging for that cash, man. I need money. While you and me and many Americans are being told there's not enough money for housing. There's not enough money for healthcare, education, or food assistance, veterans. There's not enough money for the infrastructure. But there's enough money to fire these rockets off, though. So Petey said that the Iran war cost $37.5 billion. So they are requesting an additional $87.6 billion. 67 of that is for the Iran conflict. The other 20.5 is for military readiness. And this is a separate request from the $1.5 trillion that they requested. Wow. I thought this dude ran on no more wars. I mean, I heard him say that. But look at all this money. And they was crying about the Biden administration did this, did that. This dude is going to add $4.5 trillion to the budget. About time he leaves office. Anyway, that's something else. But just think what that $87.6 billion would do here at home. $6.1 million could go into that for household for rental assistance. You know, there's people out there that's having problems surviving, making ends meet because of the high cost of living which this administration created. The last one too. They both. $32.8 billion can go to assisting HUD, first-time home builders, buyers basically. Because you remember the week prior, he did not sign the Housing Act or whatever for affordable housing so people can buy houses. He wasn't for that. He is definitely an enemy of just good, hard-working people. He's a billionaire. He don't care. He don't care. 11.8 million people it can go to Pell Grants, basically. And this is from the Department of Education. If some of that $87 billion went to the Department of Education, so people can go to college, get a higher education. It would also serve 42.1 million people that are on SNAP. There's a lot of people out there that are hungry. And this is from the USDA, that $87.6 billion could help 42 million people. Wow. So let's move over to the infrastructure. 26 billion can go into a 5-year project for replacing, lead pipes. Replace this outdated system. This is from the EPA. 12.27 billion can go to Head Start programs. Getting our kids ready to navigate, through life and education. Just give them a head start. And 8.1 billion can go to infrastructure. Is this from the Department of Transportation? There's about 100 bridges across 44 states that needs to be repaired. So the Pentagon said that this is an urgent matter. But families are facing eviction. This is urgent. Veterans need treatment. This is urgent. Children's drinking water through lead pipe. This is urgent. Fix that. Bridges are falling apart. Fix that. I don't be going across the bridge and that shit just collapsed. Because anyway, the strait was already functioning. Before U.S. and Israel began striking Iran in February, the Strait of Hormuz was already open. Commercial ships and oil tankers were already passing through there because 1/5 of the world's petroleum passes through this waterway, through this strait. Most of the oil heads to towards Asia and not the United States. That's what this is about. And I think things are really, really going to get a little nasty. I really do. So the U.S. Energy says that 84% of this crude oil passes through this strait is for the Asian market. Only 2% for us. So America still has a strong interest in keeping this open. Why would you disrupt this and disrupt global pricing? That lets you know that this dude that's sitting there, this comb-over boy, is a freaking idiot. Why would you cut that off? Iran restricted the flow once the war began. They did this. Not your blockade. You trying to look tough in front of the American public. I got that. Yeah, I got your little, I'm tough. Look at me. So that war helped created this very emergency, this global emergency, this high price of gas that we're going through right now. So the comb-over boy, Petey Pete and Benji, used this to justify continuing this war. Before the current war, the U.S. intelligence community, they said that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon. They said the same thing about Iraq. Iraq got this yellow cake, man. We can't allow this yellow cake to, if they get this yellow cake, they're gonna have a nuclear weapon, man. We need gluten-free yellow cake to create these nuclear weapons of mass destruction. So sound like the come-over boy is taking the same playbook that the Bush administration used. The supreme leader of Iran suspended this program in 2003. But the director of national intelligence said that Iran poses a cyber and regional security concern. Even in March 2026, so the intelligence assessment said that Iran might be able to develop a militarily viable intercontinental missile around 2035, if they pursue it. So that's future possibilities, not proof that they even have it. There was no proof that Iran possessed any operational missiles capable of hitting the homeland. So let's do this preemptive war to respond to maybe an attack they might do in the future. That's why Come-Over kept, now I understand why he kept coming on the news. Hey, we have to stop them before they get this nuclear weapon. They haven't even developed this. We have to prevent them in the future from doing this. That's what they was talking about. They'll have these long-range nuclear weapons or this intercontinental missile by 2035. Really? So the administration explanation appears to have moved through several stages. Let's stop them from their ambition, their capabilities. Let's protect our forces and our allies. We opened the strait that was already open. Preserve freedom for navigation that was never stopped. Let's restore our readiness. pump your freaking brakes. Let's slow down for a minute. Right? Let's put this in event. Before the first American bomb fell, the strait was open. Tankers were moving. Oil was flowing. Iran had not shut down the world energy traffic. It had not cut America off from its from its oil supply. So when the two dum-dums, the United States and Israel, attacked, of course they're gonna retaliate. Why are you gonna sit there and be a punk? Shipping became dangerous. Insurance prices rose really high. Tankers stopped moving. Oil went up. And suddenly Washington told the American people that we had to keep fighting to keep this strait open. It was already open. You can't create a fire, then be the firefighter and go like, who struck this match? But the government never publicly demonstrated that Iran was preparing to attack American homeland. They already said that they're not trying to build a nuclear weapon. Huh? I guess you don't have to be innocent for us to just fire our rockets up on you. We can say, well, he's planning to do this in the future and then just fire off a whole bunch of missiles. They never presented an immediate danger to us. But anyway, bombing was the only option. We couldn't talk this out. Even though they kept saying, going over there, hey, let's talk about this. I got Jared going over there and Steve going over there and talk to him. And they know nothing. And we've been handed this emergency bill, $88 billion. We went under attack. Anyway, this is how war becomes self-justifying. We just make up some stuff. We just make it up. You know, attack receives retaliation, points to retaliate. Then come overboard, get on TV and say, hey, I told you these people were dangerous and deranged and stupid people. Because I said so. I'm the comb over boy. I'm gonna take a quick break and I'll be right back. Well, here we go. Let's dive into it. So I had mentioned to you that part 2 would be deeper, but I know for a fact I'm not going to be able to finish part 2. So guess what? It's going to be a part 3, and I won't rant as long. I won't go on just talking about all the foolish stuff from this administration. And I am not like some political guy that this is going to be my topic. No. This is the fact that, they're asking for $88 billion, and they still have $75 billion in their pool or their kitty that they haven't even touched yet. And then they want $1.5 trillion later. It's kind of irked me a little bit. But anyway, enough. Let's talk about these 5 major European powers that came here from Europe. They brought all this foolishness with them from Europe. They were already over there fighting. So they came here, set up their forts, set up their missions, set up their military garrisons that would later become part of the United States. And they weren't working together. They were actually competing for land and resources and control of the indigenous alliance. That's what they was trying to do. So Spain controlled Florida and later established positions across Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California. But you're probably asking yourself, why are we covering this? Because this stuff that happened in the past. So now you will be able to see and picture all this together, how it's really playing out now here in the present day. So France established forts and trading posts from Canada down the Mississippi River into Louisiana. You know that Creole thing, the French quarters. England, Great Britain established these colonies along the Atlantic coast. You probably know this. Some of you guys are so smart, you know this. So they began Jamestown in 1607. Wow. So these British forts were designed to protect the settlements against Spain and against France. And the Indians are indigenous nations that were defending their homeland. They just come and set up camp and don't even talk to us. Well, they did actually have a talk, but I'll cover that a little later. The Dutch Republic established the New Netherlands, which is present-day New York, New Jersey, Delaware, and Connecticut. Yes. So Sweden established New Sweden along the Delaware River, which is present-day Wilmington, Delaware. I just left there like a month ago. So the Dutch was fighting for control over this land, but eventually in 1664, England seized this whole area. They took it. It's like, this is ours. So these are the European powers that first came to North America, this part of North America. But wait, it gets deeper. You want to know who the first was? The very, very first to come to the North American shores? The Vikings. No, not the Minnesota Vikings. No. The Norse. You don't know who the Norse are? Right? You do? No, you don't. Yes, you do? No, you don't. Anyway, they're from Norway, Iceland, Greenland, Scandinavian people. That's who the Norse are. So They call themselves the Vikings. Well, I think we labeled them the Vikings. Or anyway, they the Vikings. That's a total different story how that name Vikings came about. The Norse culture was rich, complex, and they profoundly influenced European history, literature, and arts, and culture. They were sophisticated, skilled craftsmen, innovators, storytellers, explorers who reached North America centuries before Chris did. Yeah. The Norse established a base up in Newfoundland around the year 1000. It was the earliest authenticated European site in North America. But that colony, that empire, it didn't last long. They left because the indigenous people that were there pushed back. So when they arrived, they did not find an empty continent waiting to be claimed. They entered a land that was already inhabited, who knew the terrain, who knew the rivers, the shorelines, the hunting grounds, and every hidden pathway through the forest. So according to the Norse saga, these are two completely different worlds. But suspicion entered the picture, misunderstanding followed. Blood spill. The Norse killed some of these indigenous people. They retaliated back. The local people knew their own land. They returned with great numbers and made it very clear. You're not just walking in here. You're not just walking into an empty house. So they left. They packed up and left. They left that land. They couldn't sustain this. They tried to colonize this area. They couldn't sustain it. But you know what? I apologize for this segment, this show. No, you know what? Heck no, I don't apologize for it. I'm going to go deeper in part 3. I'm gonna try to finish up with part 3. Just ride with me, hang with me, because I'm going to share some deep information that you really going to want to know. Because you know what? If you don't know what was and how we got here to this present moment today, you don't know what it is. Make sure that you subscribe on this YouTube channel. Then share it with a friend, share it with a friend, share it with a friend, then share it with another friend. We'll talk again next week. Conversation No Filter.
Thanks for joining me on Conversations No Filter. If today's conversation made you think, question, or see the world a little differently, then we've done our job. Join me again next week for more thought-provoking conversations and fresh perspectives designed to challenge your thinking and expand your mind. Until then, stay curious.